Hello and welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash Questions Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. Thank you and hello and thank you for joining me on this catch up episode. We are going to talk about all the things that I haven't been able to talk about the last couple weeks, all the different cartoon shows that come out. We don't really cover a whole lot of sitcoms on the show, but we're going to cover two sitcoms, specifically King of the Hill season 14 that just released on Hulu the last 2 weeks, and Rick and Morty that kind of released over the summer. And then we're also going to talk about Eyes of Wakanda, the Disney Plus TV show that aired. If you didn't realize that it aired, we'll get into all of that. This last summer, this summer, not last summer, but this summer, I will say I do apologize for not dropping as much. This is why I'm doing a catch-up episode on everything I haven't really covered the last, month or so. I have been starting a new project called Roll for the End. It is a D&D show. Roll for the End. The Bleak specifically is the name of our campaign. The Bleak is great. It is terrifying. Check us out on YouTube. Roll for the End. It's where I've been the last 2 months, just heavily focused on that. But as that gets settled, I'm going to focus a lot more on Don't Evolve Me, as well, especially when shows come out. A couple of the shows that I am really excited to review in the next week or so. I'll say next couple of weeks, because there's a huge thing. A lot of things are coming out. One, Peacemaker, season 2. Excited for it. It sounds amazing. It sounds delicious. It sounds great. The first one's a lot better than I thought. We're going to do a review this week on Peacemaker season 1 and then get into Peacemaker season 2 when it comes out. I don't know if I'll do episode by episode like I have. That is a lot of work. It is a lot of time. I don't know if I have it, and I'm starting my main job soon, but we will see. I am definitely reviewing it, as well as Dexter Resurrection. Plan on reviewing that when it comes out, as well as Twisted Metal when all of it comes out. So there's a lot of stuff to come. One Piece, Peacemaker, Twisted Metal. A lot of things I'm going to review once it comes out. But let's get into it. Eyes of Wakanda. I really wanted to start with King of the Hill because I think that's the one that I have just the most to say about and most to really talk about. But I wanted to get into Eyes of Wakanda first because one, this is a nerd show. We talk superheroes, we talk Marvel, we talk DC. This is like our bread and butter. So I'm going to talk Eyes of Wakanda first. Now, if you're not aware, Marvel at the beginning of August released Eyes of Wakanda, which is more or less kind of like a what if anthology TV series, but it's just 4 episodes and has everything to do with Wakanda and really nothing else to do with Marvel except for maybe a character, maybe a couple characters, but everything to do with Wakanda itself. Now, if you're not aware, and I keep saying this because Disney Plus had put in zero money in production for this show. Just very much the same as Ironheart. They put very little money into the advertisement and the promotion of Eyes of Wakanda and Ironheart. And it's weird because my first thought was, all right, these are shows from the different era of the MCU, the era of Disney Plus, the era of we're going to do a lot more quantity, we're going to do a lot more stories rather than quality. So the idea of Ironheart or Eyes of Wakanda not getting a whole lot of publicity or a lot of promotion made sense because it seemed like they were moving to a different brand, to a different style, to a different, movies specifically is what they're going for, Fantastic Four. So, but it was just really odd that Ironheart and Eyes of Wakanda are both being released right around Fantastic Four when usually you want everything away from that so that the focus is all on Fantastic Four. But it really seemed like the Disney was, hey, we're going to just put them there so people don't realize how much these projects aren't that great. That was the thought process of the summer. When I heard that Ironheart and Eyes of Wakanda were coming out around Fantastic Four, my thought was, these shows are probably not that good. They're probably just releasing it to release it, and that's it. Boy, am I wrong, and boy, most people are wrong. These shows are good. Ironheart was a great show, really well put together. The whole character reveal at the end is questionable still great, but questionable. And Eyes of Wakanda, I watched the show, and this show is really good. Really good to the point where I was like, why isn't this at all being promoted? Why isn't Ironheart being promoted? Why is anything made by Ryan Coogler not being promoted the way that it should? And it brings up that question. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the show itself. So the show has 4 episodes, and each episode kind of works like What If, where it's an anthology series. It tells 4 different stories from 4 different points of Wakanda. And at the end, it comes together to tell kind of not a finale of sorts, but like it puts the story together and says why it's important. And it's important. It's cool. It's dope. It is one of those. It's a show that reminds me of a really well written comic book, like not series, but like a mini run in a comic book. Like instead of 4 episodes, it's like 4 issues. Each of these stories tell a different tale, but like it builds up and makes the current series stronger. And that's what this show does. It tells 4 different series. It tells from episode one, it's like, 1200 BC, tells the story about how one of the, I'm thinking, the, one of the warriors of Wakanda, I'm gonna look it up afterwards. I can't think of it. It's the one with the. I can't think of the names. This is what sucks to have ADHD because like my memory just goes poof when I need it the most sometimes. But anyway, one of these Wakanda warriors, the ones that kind of the Dora Milaje, a member of Dora Milaje, or I forget if she was a former member. I think a former member. One of the. She's an agent of Wakanda. She goes into what is called the Lion's Den to meet another person from Wakanda. They fight. That's episode one. Episode two is about another agent who works with the heroes of Troy, the heroes of the Greek Empire, and the whole Troy story. And the whole purpose of the Wakanda agent is to get different artifacts from Wakanda and bring it home. So each episode does that. Episode one, Lion's Den. Episode two is the story of Troy, the story of Greeks versus the Trojans, how the Greeks used the Trojan horse to get into Trojan. And then, that is it. That's the story. And then the third one is an agent coming back home from after being around. Again, I can't think of the name of the Iron Fist location. The third episode is with Iron Fist, and the fourth episode puts it all together. I'm explaining this poorly. I'm sorry. But all 4 of these shows, all 4 of these episodes have this just really unique story to it that just, it's solid. Is it a must watch? No. If you like Black Panther, if you want to learn more about it and learn more about the war, this is the series, this is the show for you. Solid animation. There's like moments where I didn't really care about the animation, but there's like moments where like, God damn, this is gorgeous. The writing's smart. The stories are meaningful because at the end, what this does is it puts it all together and it just builds upon the first movie. It makes the first movie more important than you know. And the biggest reason is episode 4 brings a future Black Panther, a future warrior into the past. And you learn that there's this alien species that will doom the planet if Wakanda isn't together. I guess that is a spoiler, but I apologize. Anyway, that is mostly the show. It's 4 episodes. It's not super important, but they're solid writing. It's a 4 for me. It's a 4 overall. It's one of those shows that I think is definitely, if you're into Wakanda, watch it. If you're into Black Panther, watch it. If you're not, you don't need to watch it. But I think it is a shame though that because this show's a 4, it's solid, it's good, it's not necessary, but like this is the type of content that Disney Plus is for, is to add more shows, more lore to those who want more of it, who want that niche type of thing. But it's just sad that it's just not promoted. And it's really sad that the state of our world as it is, the whole we're taking away DEI, and now Disney, one of the bigger corporations, is no longer, continually promoting Ryan Coogler things. That's what this comes across of because he produced Ironheart. That show, that show is all about this African American, this black lady becoming more, right? It's all about the black culture of Chicago. Rise of Wakanda is all about black culture, African Wakanda culture among history. Both these shows are great, solid writing, great projects, like a lot better than I thought. And now, in the state of things, where we're at as a country, the United States of America, this corporation is not promoting this type of material. I can't say that's what it is, because there has been a quality issue when it comes to Marvel. There has been, like, these shows in general haven't been great or worth watching. These shows, Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda, definitely worth watching. So I just think this is super interesting how this is working out. This is turning out because all in all, I really like this show. Eyes of Wakanda was great. It was a fun surprise. But I will say the counterpoint is I don't think it's that big. It's not big enough to overly promote. It's not big enough to like it's a must watch, but it's a good side story. So anyway, yeah, check it out. If you like Black Panther, check it out. It's a solid 4. It's great writing. I'm super confused why it wasn't promoted more, but I think I kind of hint on the reason why. King of the Hill. This is the show I really wanted to talk about. Now, I generally don't follow sitcoms, and I generally don't have a whole lot to say about sitcoms, TV shows, comedy series, cartoons. Not because I don't like them. It's because they're more comfort and entertainment. They're more, wasting time rather than telling a serialized stories with like the big payoff at the end. King of the Hill is one of those stories where you're just watching small town people, even though I don't think Arlen would be considered a small town, especially in this new season. But I digress. You're watching small town people dealing with small town problems, ridiculous small town problems. But you're watching Hank, work with his community, growing as a person, and solving community problems together. Now, why do I like this show? Why does everyone like this show? I really don't know at the end of the day because I find that King of the Hill is one of those shows that just gives you a place of comfort. For me, that's how it is. I don't look at it as like, oh, I can't wait to know what like how Hank deals with this upcoming conflict. Oh, I can't wait to see how Peggy and her her benign narcissistic way gets her in trouble and gets out of this. Like, I don't look forward to the stories of King of the Hill. I look forward to the comfort that it brings. And it's one of the few shows that I just kept coming back to time and time and time again. I remember as a kid watching Family Guy or South Park or The Simpsons because those shows were funny, those shows were controversial. But then King of the Hill comes up, I'm not excited for it, but I just found myself watching it and being relaxed. And that's what King of the Hill for me has been. And I think one of the reasons why I was really excited for it to come back, because it's just like for me it feels like I'm back home. Now, for those who know me, one of the reasons why I freaking love King of the Hill is because just it reminds me of my home. It reminds me of my family. It reminds me of my dad and my relationship with me and my dad often. It was one of the reasons why I really like King of the Hill. Now, I'm from Minnesota. Our family doesn't deal with Texas issues, but small town, small family, small community often deal with small town problems. And my dad's very similar to Hank Hill in the sense that like he is a handyman, he does a lot of different things, and he often is the person that's helping other people in the community. Things have changed since then. I don't necessarily feel it as like one to one as before, but as a kid, like I see my dad as like this hero, as this person of importance in the community, and me, his son, it was very much like Bobby Hill. Your typical dad, your divergent son, wants isn't at all alike philosophically when it comes to like what likes and interests. However, it's it's a weird, interesting relationship. Now, King of the Hill, if you don't know, this show came back, And it came back after, I believe, a decade and a half, 14, 15 years or so. They come back. They were living in Saudi Arabia, which is really weird. I thought it was a weird premise, but I think the show does a really good job with it, with the idea of that, like, they were in an American made town from the 50s, and Hank was in love. They come back home from retirement. They go back to their house. Bobby's there, and everything is different. And it was just fun to see them adjust and change because Hank and Peggy are slightly different, but they're very much the same. All these other characters, there's slight differences, but they're generally the same. Bobby's the biggest one. Bobby and the kids from the show are the biggest one because Bobby's now a 20-year-old. Joseph, Connie, they're all in college, living their life. I believe 20. I believe they're 21 at this age. Legal enough to drink. And it's so weird because Bobby's like that smart loser kid that you just love, but like the society around him kind of views him as a loser. And now we have Bobby who's in college and yeah, or he's not in college, but he's college age, doesn't go to college, often is compared about like not going to college, but he isn't a loser. He runs his own business, a rather decently successful business. I mean, it has its issues. It's a a cartoon. There always can be drama. There's always gonna be issues, but relatively, like, he's 21 years old and he's the boss of this place. On top of the fact that he's also crushing it with the ladies, which, like, Bobby has skills. So don't get me wrong, Bobby has skills as a character, and always has. But he's really hitting it off in college, and I think one of the reasons why I really like seeing the growth of Bobby is because I relate to him a lot, and so when he's at college age, I relate to him, and I really just like seeing that, and kind of I felt like I was reliving college a little bit through Bobby, or at least that age of when you went to college. And I really liked seeing their growth. I liked seeing Connie and Joseph and Connie coming back to Bobby's life, kind of hearing about their dating history and where they're at now, and just yeah, it's a good show. I will say this is one of those shows that it feels weird coming back to. Not so much because of the show itself, but the real life circumstances of King of the Hill. It's been 14 years, right? A lot of these characters, the actors who played them, are dead. Dale, this is the actor who played Dale. This was his last performance in the season, and they got replaced. It is the episodes that Dale is obviously replaced. It's off. Redcorn is a weird appearance because the actor just got murdered in a really bad homophobic situation in Texas. It sucks. So like seeing Redcorn come back, it's like and we're not even talking about Luann or Lucky or Cotton or any of these other like coming back to this world and realizing that the real world has affected this world is a little sad because King of the Hill is like an escape. It's definitely an escapism for myself. So it's weird to see, but I'm also really happy that it happened. What else? All right, Arlen is different. Arlen is different in the sense that like it is very modern now. We're dealing with modern problems. Hank and Peggy are dealing with modern issues, which is at the time of like 20 years ago when the show was very relevant. They were also dealing with modern issues, but the modern issues of then compared to the modern issues of now is just so black and white, and it's still fun to see because the premise is still the same. Hank and Peggy are dealing with the nonsense of society, and they have to like react and grow as people, and they do. Well, Hank does. Peggy she's fun. She's just the benign narcissist. Like she's a good intention, but awfully like Peggy. There's got to be like I want to read. There's got to be a study on Peggy Hill because she's a fascinating person, fascinating character. Hank is too, but Hank's not so much as Peggy. Other things I thought was hilarious and fun. Dale is getting the Cartman effect from South Park. Like these two characters were, characters 10, 20 years ago. Dale with all his conspiracy theories and all this like nonsense behavior was just like, oh man, that guy's a coup, or that guy's weird. And now he just fits in. Like Dale, what Dale is very much a lot of people now in society. A lot of people in like the mega culture is a lot like Dale. And so you see Dale talking about conspiracy theories, and then like three or four people will like jump in with him, and he's not like alone. He has his own group. And to learn that, Dale was a mayor for some time was also just, it doesn't make sense to me, but it's funny because like Dale was a loner, but now like he is now a part of this like bigger group of people that have become Dale like. Very much in the same vein of like Cartman and South Park. God damn, that's another show I need to talk about too. We'll get to South Park. But yes, a couple of things I like. I really like the GH comeback story, or GH coming back. I like that they touched on it. I don't think GH ever has to be a big thing. I don't think he needs to come back for a season two. It's just a cool, callback to like, hey, Hank does have a brother. He is essentially like what Bobby was. So it puts Hank in this like father brother like role, and it is just cool to see. I don't have much more to say other than just it's just fun to watch this show. It's fun to come back to this world. It's fun to see the changes. It is weird. The animation is off. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same. But yeah, I digress. It's a really good series. Some of my favorite episodes, I will say, any given Hill Day where they go to Dallas Cowboys practice, I really love. I really love any of the football cowboy episodes. So that's one of my favorites for me. I just really love the dynamic and them going back to, the one thing that Bobby and Hank have in common, which is they like the Cowboys. They like football. And so to have that, as well as like Bobby's like newest girlfriend and like how they related to, like, it was a fun, unique story. And I always appreciate anytime they go to like a Cowboys or a football thing when it's just Hank and Bobby plus a couple other people. I really like those stories, probably because of me and my relationship with my own dad and football being one of the things that connect us. A couple other things, a couple other favorite episodes. The Khan fake wedding, I think, is perfect. The fact that they are divorced, but they're, you know, having this mask of like, oh, we're happy, we're together, blah blah blah, and then the Hills finding out that they're divorced, but having the like that was a fun story. That was just a fun to see all the chaos just go in front of it, but also developing the Connie Bobby relationship. And then my other favorite is the beer story, just Bobby and Hank competing to see who can have the best beer, and you can just really see their philosophies fighting each other and going at it. You know, Hank's all about being conservative, traditional values, being minimalist. Like, I'm making a beer. It doesn't have to taste fruity. It just needs to be a solid, crisp beer flavor. And Bobby's just like, no, he's the opposite, right? You have to be flamboyant. You have to be showsman. Like, this is what beer is now. It's fruity. It's all these different things. And I just really love the imagery of like you have Hank and his old values versus Bobby and his new values, and they realize that like the whole point of this, of them doing this, wasn't to compete their values. It's to do something they love together, which is, you know, just connecting on making beer. Like, they can relate to that. So it was a cool story. For a rating for King of the Hill, this is a show that it feels so weird to rank. If you can relate to King of the Hill, it's great. Like, this show is always a 4. Like, it's worse episodes that are just boring, that are probably 2 because they're boring. I would still probably give it a 4 because like it's not about the story itself. It's just about the feeling and the comfort. So King of the Hill, I will give it. I'm gonna say it's a 3 plus. That's what I'm saying. It's solid. It's good. It's, for me, it's a comfort show. It's never been more than that. But the writing is clever in a dry wit way. It never makes you like laugh out loud, but it goes, yeah, and that's it. You just go ha ha ha. Anyway, King of the Hill, season 14. I loved it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments of YouTube or Spotify or anywhere else that you find this. All right, moving on. Rick and Morty, season 8. Some of you may not even realize that Rick and Morty season 8 has come out. And it's weird because this is one of those shows where I used to be a really big Rick and Morty fan when it first came out. A couple reasons why. One, Dan Harmon is the creator of, or one of the creators of Rick and Morty. Justin Roiland was the other one, but now it's solely Dan Harmon. I love Community. That's like one of my favorite shows. That show was also written and produced by Dan Harmon. And because I love that show, it was one of the reasons why I really like the idea of Rick and Morty. When they say it was written or created by Dan Harmon, I was like, that guy comes up with some really cool ass shit. Let's watch it. And Rick and Morty is one of those shows where it reminds me a lot like Archer or some of the other like sitcoms where really early on it's dope, it's new, it's fresh. Black Mirror is kind of like this too, where it's just so unique and fresh and different that you're just like, yeah. And it seems like our culture is just all about it. And that's kind of like what happened with Rick and Morty. This concept of each episode is this weird, different sci-fi element to it, and it's played for laughs, and it's really well written. Like this is a really great. Like if I had to rate this show on its writing skills, it's a 5. And this show would then drop lore about the world every couple of episodes, maybe every finale. And the lore itself was so mysterious. You're like, oh, there's so much questions here, but the show just never always delves the time to answer it. Now we're in season 8. This is one of those shows that I think like this type of style and popularity only lasts for so long. Simply because like if your focus is each episode telling different unique stories, with every 5 episodes being where you drop a little bit of lore here and there over a course of 10, 11, 12 seasons, after like the third or fourth season, it gets old, to say the least. Archer's one of the shows where after like season 4, it was like, what do we do now? How long can they be spies? What can we, narratively they worked themselves in a corner. I don't think Rick and Morty does that. It's just, where do you go from here? And then I don't think they're interested in telling like this cohesive story. It is a sitcom. They're just here to entertain you. They're here to tell really good creative stories, and that's what Rick and Morty does. Season 8 is one of those seasons that it's hard to get hyped for because it's more or less the same, especially the first 5 or so episodes. And then it finds its strides and it reminds you, especially with the finale, because the finale is a 5 on my scale. 5 out of 5. Like, this show has so much talent in it. The animation is often gorgeous. The voice acting is, for the most part, great. The jokes are funny, and every episode is just like this unique twist. Rick and Morty still up to speed. That show hasn't lost its skills. We as an audience just lost the type and taste for it because we got 7 seasons so far, and season 8 isn't going to change your mind. Not one bit. A lot of these episodes I've watched several times, but I still like forget. It's like, oh yeah, that happened in that episode. And Dan Harmon's one of those creators that also he's working on season 10. He's so far ahead. He didn't even realize season 8 is out yet, which is kind of funny, kind of cool that they're that far ahead. But I think like it goes into the point where like all this kind of blends in together and we get smart, creative ideas. We get smart, funny stories of Rick, and we're now getting growth of these characters, but there isn't like, it's not a serialized series, and it's really hard to tell comedy in that form, and it's hard to stay relevant culturally because of it. And that's kind of what season 8 is for me. It's still solid, it's still a great show, but I'm not hyped to see it. No one in this world, or not no one, but like there isn't a whole lot of hype for it anymore because we've seen a lot of it, and basically season 8 is more or less the same. The only thing that's really different, and Archer's doing this too, is it's trying to grow Rick. and it's trying to make him um, less toxic and more better. But the problem is, because they do this with Archer too, the reason why the show's so good is because Rick is a dick. The reason why the show is so good is because Archer's a dick. The reason why we watch it is because we enjoy watching people being dick to other people in a very hilarious fashion. But and like that's why it's so good. Conflict is funny. Conflict is story. Conflict is what makes things go. And so, but narratively, growing is how you make characters go. And so, the best episode of this series, and the show gets better the later it gets on, is the finale. And that is the idea of Rick fighting a memory, a living memory. And this living memory is still very much Rick, but he's trying to take the living memories of his wife, who's dead, and I think Diane is her name, and Beth. And so he finds younger memories of these two characters, and they're all trying to live this happy ever after wedding, as Rick is just trying to destroy the memories. And it's just it's such a, I don't want to say naive, that's not it. Nuanced? No. It's such a fresh idea, a fresh story, but just this idea of like, Rick's trying to move on from the past and do things that he wants to do while his memory is trying to live on. But this memory is also really real. And it's just the idea of like Rick and his family's trying to like have this happy ending where Rick never had that. And it's just a really cool idea to play out and go side by side. And it's just really good writing. And it's probably the reason why I wanted to talk about Rick and Morty, because the finale is fucking excellent. And the show's still really good. It's just we're not hyped for it. And so we're gonna get season 9, we're gonna get season 10. I think I don't remember what they're going up to, maybe season 11, season 12. I think I'm okay with Rick and Morty ending, because I think like we're kind of at the point where like we're no longer hyped for it, and I'd love to see Dan Harmon do other things. But I also just really love the show because it's just this it's solid, it's good, the lore's still there. But yeah, it's hard to get like hyped up as a podcaster, as a fan, as it's hard to get hyped up for the series when it's more or less the same and the growth that we're getting is small. But when we get it, my God, I always feel good. So Rick and Morty, I give it a 3 plus. And it's hard that I don't. It's like I talked about it like I'm going to give it a 5 or 4. I give it a 3 plus simply because like it's really good stuff. It's honestly really great writing. It's just it's hard to get me in. It's hard to get me like into the characters because more or less it's just more or less the same, even though it's not. So yeah, it's one of those shows that I appreciate for what it is, but it's at the end of the day, I'm really into serialized drama, and this is a cartoon comedy series. So I guess my complaints are on the genre rather than the show itself. But the show's still great. And when they do have some serialized moments, that's when the show's at its best. Like Rick growing up, Rick having those moments, and then having those like pulling your heartstrings. Because I will say this, I did cry. I did cry at the end. It is just beautifully written. So Rick and Morty, I'm gonna give it a 3 plus. Feels off because it is just great writing, but I'm not as excited for it. 3 plus. And yeah, that's my thoughts. It's left, but I did say I was going to talk about South Park. I South Park is like Rick and Morty. It's like those other sitcom shows where I never look forward to it. I don't know if I'm caught up with all the movies of South Park because they released a few of them, and I don't know if I watched the last like 1 or 2 of the movies. But I'll say this about South Park because they've dropped 2 episodes in response to what's happening with their government, and holy fuck, they are back. And it's been so long that I've been excited for South Park to drop stuff that I am excited about because they are very much being political protesting what's going on in the United States, and good for them. Honestly, good for them, good for everything. I'm excited to see more, and I don't really have much more to say on it. Rather, that if I went into the politics of the situation, I don't want to do this at least here. I do have thoughts on it, but I'm not going to go on it here. But I just wanted to say, because we're talking about cartoons, I am watching South Park. I am enjoying all of it. they are fucking nailing it hard. They're nailing this administration hard, and they are just as relevant now as they used to be when they did this 20 years ago. And I'm happy for them. And I hope they just slam their foot on the gas and just go, 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 and be the voice of essentially the people that, and this is like the voice of the people. And I really love South Park because it's always been weird because like that's one of the shows politically where like if you're a liberal or if you're on the left side of things, you often get South Park because it's like they often talk about things that like those people value. But if you're on the right, or if you're, conservatives, Republicans, if you're on that side of the aisle, South Park's so crude a lot of times that it often like gets that aisle of people into it as well. But the thing is, South Park's never been one side or the other. It's always been very much in the middle. It's just, hey, I think these people are being dumb, so let's make fun of it. I think these people are dumb, let's make fun of it. And they always had like this middle approach to it. So, and it's always like an extreme middle approach. And I always respected South Park for it. And the fact that they're doing this now doesn't feel middle, but this administration is very extreme. So their middle stance, their middle critical stance, feels extreme, but it's exactly what we need at this moment. Because I think a lot of us are feeling what they're saying and what they're showing in the show. So I'm not going to go into details. I might later on, once all the episodes drop, I will go into South Park. This isn't really my forte, but I did say I was going to talk about it. I want to talk about it. I really love what they're doing. I want to see more. The fact that they're making Donald Trump into Saddam Hussein from the past was genius. Like that was brilliant. Like that was you're bringing up nostalgia, but keeping it topical. And I think that's just a really brilliant fucking idea. Way better than Mr. Garrison from the first term being Donald Trump. I'm happy that they moved on and they changed it to this version of the character. I'm excited to see more. That's really all I gotta say on it. Yeah, last little bit. Dexter, Twisted Metal. I'm watching those shows too. I'm not gonna do it until those seasons are out. Dexter's a lot of fun. Twisted Metal is a lot of fun. Quality of writing is a little bit less than season one. For at least from what I've noticed so far. I've only watched the first 5 episodes. 6 and 7 is out, but I haven't watched it. Dexter's just great. That show is very much in the form of season 1, 2, or 3 of the original show. And yes, I do mean that. So if you're wondering like, oh, Dexter, that show should have just been dead. I agree with you. Absolutely fucking agree with you. After season 4, like they should have just wrapped up and ended it after season 5. I agree with that take. However, they're making more shows. And yes, seasons 5 through 8 are awful. New Blood I thought it was solid. I gave it like a 3+. But Resurrection's great. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. So yeah. All right. That was the catch-up episode, the catch-up cartoon episode, plus a few others. You can catch me on YouTube, Don't Evolve Me at YouTube, or Don't Evolve Me at Spotify, or anywhere else that you find podcasts. You can also check out the show Roll for the N, The Bleak. We will be having our first show coming out within at least this month. We don't have a date quite yet, but we recorded session 1. We're recording session 2 this week, and we're going to be dropping this stuff. So Roll for the N. Look it up. Go subscribe. Support us, check us out, as well as, Don't Evolve Me, my show as well. All right, thanks, guys. I am out. I will see you later this week to talk Peacemaker and so much more after that. Peacemaker, One Piece, Pokemon, all that. All right, this is your host, Jake Sherbing. I am out.